there, chipmunks! Welcome to the AMP Cycling Ride Review Series. I'm your host, Angry Chipmunk, and today we're in Sweden for another one of the Challenge family of rides. This is the Vansbro 45 ride. This route is available on Rouvy, so let's get right to it. This is a decent length route at 46.7 kilometers long, but with an extremely mild 196 meters of elevation gain. The whole ride averages just 0% and will peak at a mere 4%. This is a there and back again route, so all of your elevation gain is pretty much just a mirror. There are 2 Strava segments included on Rouvy, with just the 2 on Strava as well. Both are in the first half of the route, and both are a sprint of some sort. The first Strava segment is Rouvy. It's at the 7 kilometer mark, is 1.79 kilometers long, with 10 meters of elevation gain, averaging 0.6% and peaking at 3%. There's really nothing exceptional or noteworthy about this segment. The terrain is exactly the same before and after it. And if you're into sprints or just like collecting good Strava times, be sure to watch for the start so you hit it with max speed. The max gradient is just at the end of the segment, but for any experienced rider, you might not actually even notice it at all. The second Strava segment is Malmsta Sprint. It's at the 20 kilometer mark, is 1.71 kilometers long, with 10 meters of elevation gain, averaging 0.5% and peaking at 2%. Again, the terrain before and after this one is identical to this segment itself. The max gradient is early in this one, but it's not enough to really need to worry about. Again, only really worth watching for the start if you want to get a good time. Both of the segments are quite long for sprints, but they are both very easy. The remainder of the route is just the opposite of what we just did. A few shallow ups and downs, but nothing of any real note. This is almost as perfectly pancake flat as you could get. For this ride, and all super flat rides, you'll want to warm up for your intended effort. If you want to go pretty hard from the start, have at least 10 minutes before and after. If you're going to take it easy all the way, you can definitely use some of the route for both your warm up and cool down. I went at a medium pace and did a 5 to 10 minute warm up and cool down. And as always, I recommend pre-fueling your rides. This one is easy to eat a snack anywhere along the route if you need to though. But if you've pre-fueled, the easiness of the route lends itself towards minimal fueling. You can use this one for one of your calorie deficit days. I would say that 10 to 15 grams, depending on how hard you're going, somewhere in the middle of the route should see you through. I would follow this one up with a protein of some sort, as it is still decently long. The view on this ride is pretty great, actually. Nearly the whole thing is in the countryside, with just the start and end in a city. The sky is immaculately blue, and the trees and fields are a deep, rich green. It is exactly the kind of spot you want to ride for real life. And if you've watched any other of my reviews, you'll know that I tend to find the there and back again routes a little bit duller, as you do see the same thing a second time. And this one is no real different. The view is very nice, but it does get a bit samey. I try to break up the road hypnosis that tends to happen with these routes by trying to spot and count as many Volvos as I could see along the way. I find that keeping my mind engaged with just a little something helps to keep the focus when the terrain is a bit flat. The only complaint that I have on this one is that the camera is pointed off towards the left just a little bit. It's not a massive problem, but it is just a little bit awkward to look at. I did this ride at a decently moderate pace and finished in just over 1.5 hours on 100% difficulty emulation. With the ability to delete the warm-up and cool-down for an easy ride, I would say to budget up to 2 hours for it. If you're going to go hard, plan 1 to 1.5 hours for this one. Overall, this is a fantastic route that is suitable for all levels of rider. There's nothing so difficult in it that a newer rider just couldn't cope at all. If you're more experienced and find the flat dull, pedal faster in a harder gear or work on your circle pedaling. This is a great route to use for a midweek spin or sandwich around other more difficult routes. The easy flat nature of it also means that you can pause the route and pick it up again at another time if you need to. This can be especially useful if you're newer and might not make it to the end in one go. I really enjoy these routes that have multiple uses. For this route, I give a 5 out of 5. It's actually a very nice jaunt through countryside Sweden. You don't spend a lot of time in the starting city, so it's really maximizing the best part of the route. For the climbs, there are really none to speak of here. For the view, 4 out of 5. The view is nice, very good colors, great weather, lots of trees, but it does get a bit samey. The odd camera angle is a bit off-putting to me, but maybe you won't notice it as much as I did. And be sure to watch for the old man waiting for the bus. And overall, 4 out of 5. Definitely put this one in your ride queue. It's got a ton of great uses and looks fantastic. Another really good offering from the Challenge family of rides. Well, that's it for this review, so thanks for watching, Chipmunks. Let me know what you think of the Challenge Vansbro route if you complete it, and let me know if that old man ever managed to get the bus. I'll leave you to finish the rest of the ride, and I'll see you again in 2 weeks for another review. Until then, ride on, Chipmunks, ride on.